Hi, Dr. Bill here. Today I'll be reviewing this very handsome guy here called the DIVER 1000 Gen 2 40mm automatic bracelet DIVER by Deep Blue. I will be calling this watch the K. I bought the black vintage noon dial variant of the K. As you can see from Deep Blue's website, they have numerous dial variants for this model. The base price of the K was $219.99. I paid $10 for their lowest price shipping, which was ground. It was shipped quickly via USPS first class. I bought the diver's extension ratchet type clasp for an additional $34.99. Deep Blue was good enough to include the default ubiquitous ice scraper style fold over clasp in the box, which is lightly etched with Deep Blue's branding. I despise ice scraper style clasps as they can break easily when doing physical labor, and some of them have sharp edges which can cut either you or someone else. I highly recommend that people get the ratcheting style of clasp. Deep Blue gives you 4 options for the type of bracelet you want. I went with the oyster style bracelet. The K comes in this colorful paper outside box. Inside is what I think of as a miniature sunglass case, which I really like as it's nice and sturdy and compact. The watch didn't come with any documentation or warranty. I couldn't find warranty information on Deep Blue's website. However, there is a page where they ask you to register your watch for warranty validation, and you need a copy of your warranty in order to do this. The lack of a warranty is pretty Mickey Mouse. Unfortunately, I'm going to have to leave the K's bracelet in its original plastic in order to maximize my resale value. The K's bracelet is not user-friendly when it comes to sizing. I contacted Deep Blue to ask them what type of pins their bracelets use, and Deep Blue did not respond. This, along with the lack of a warranty, left me with the impression that Deep Blue is unprofessional and untrustworthy. The pins look like they're probably pin and collars, while I've seen a few dickheads in my comments brag about how easy it was to size pin and collars without any prior experience. These people are full of duty, and you should not listen to them. If the K uses pin and collars, you're probably going to have to bring the K to a jeweler who knows what he or she is doing. Either that or break stuff in the process of sizing the K's bracelet. Even if the K uses standard push pins, it's going to be a very delicate operation to size due to the thickness of the pins. Deep Blue needs to make bracelet sizing user-friendly and switch to either screw pins or screw bars. The K didn't come with a protective sticker on the crystal, which makes me wonder if this is a previous return. There is a sticker on the helium escape valve, which I'm going to leave on. I made sure the helium escape valve was tight, and it was. I am leaving the helium escape valve the hell alone, as this is for saturation diving only, and I don't want to tamper with it. My measurements of the watch differ significantly from that of the Deep Blue specifications. Deep Blue specifies that the watch diameter is 40 millimeters. My measurement is 41.5 millimeters. Deep Blue specifies that the case thickness is 15 millimeters. I measured the thickness at a whopping 16.5 millimeters. That's a thickie. The case width measured horizontally, including the crown, is 46 millimeters. The lug to lug is 49 millimeters, which is slightly big, though I think this is a misleading measurement, as the case uses a saddle design with protruding lugs, which helps the watch conform to the wrist. I think even guys with smallish wrists will be able to wear this watch so long as they don't mind the thickness. My wrist is about 7 inches. Consistent with the thickness of the case, the bracelet links are on the thick side at 4.5 millimeters. The bracelet is 22 millimeters, tapering down to 20 millimeters and going up to 22.5 millimeters at the clasp. I think the bracelet is proportioned fine. Unfortunately, I cannot tell you how well it wears as I'm not removing the plastic. The watch is 234 grams, which is pretty damn heavy, but normal for a watch of this style. The ratcheting clasp has lightly etched product branding. The size that you just push these levers in, it appears to be well made and well proportioned. The case is nicely brushed. Case integration with the end links is done exceedingly well. The brushing is consistent and the end links fit well. There isn't an exact fit at the corners, but at the case price point, I think Deep Blue did a pretty extraordinary job. The crown is nicely incised with the Deep Blue logo. The crown is nice and thick and grippy and nicely guarded. Screwing and unscrewing the crown is nice and smooth. The stem is nice and thick. There's a little bit of wobble, which is no big deal. I'm not going to test the date as I don't want to tamper with the movement. However, I'm sure it's fine. You can hear a nice audible pop when the vacuum seal releases. The K isn't ISO certified, but the popping sound of the vacuum releasing is evidence enough for me that this watch is watertight. The anti-reflective coated sapphire crystal is positioned slightly above the shiny ceramic bezel. There is very slight distortion at steep angles. The K's 120 click bezel is amazing. The teeth of the bezel are nice and smooth, yet very grippy. The clicky type action is wonderfully smooth. I love the living hell out of this bezel. The branding and text on the dial are appropriately sized. I love the orange second hand that reaches all the way out to the minute markings. Both the hands and the indexes have reflective metal borders which enhance the readability of the dial in low light. The indexes have an impressive amount of depth. This does not look like a cheap watch at all. The K's date display, which practically all cheap watch manufacturers botch, is perfect. While the date cutout is relatively small, the date wheel behind the cutout is set at a depth where it is readable when looked at from an angle. The protruding glass of the see-through case is unusually thick, which makes sense considering the enormous pressure a 300-meter watch would need to withstand. The movement's rotor has Deep Blue's product branding, which is a nice touch. The movement is a Seiko NH35A, which is an entry-level movement. The only weak point in the K that I could find was the loom staying power. I tested the loom after the watch sat for 3 hours in darkness and the hands weren't visible. The K's loom is subpar. Was that an extremely impressive watch or what? Some of you may have wondered where I've been for the past 2 years. I've been away in Switzerland completing my PhD in horology, and I'm happy to say that I'm finally a whore. I've temporarily come out of retirement to review 4 or 5 watches in order to bump up my traffic so that I could continue my trickle of Google ad revenue. I don't have the money to review watches on a regular basis. I'll be selling the watches that I've reviewed online before I go back into retirement, right here on my YouTube channel, so stay tuned. Please like, please subscribe, and God bless Switzerland.